The most dangerous people in the world aren't the ones with the loudest voices. They're the ones with the cleanest data. Dr. Elias Thorne was a master of the clean slate. As a lead engineer for the Archon Group's Human Optimization Division, Elias didn't just understand the human body, he understood it as a collection of variables. He knew that if you change the variables, you could change the outcome. On the night of August 14th, 2025, Elias committed a crime.
De-indexing initiated. Processing. De-index complete.
He didn't leave a footprint. He simply used his administrative access to de-index his wife, Elena, from the Archon Group's central database. Elena had found the files. She had seen the inventory of souls from 911 had unwittingly collected. She knew about the integrated soldiers like the saturation diver. She was going to go to the authorities, not realizing that the authorities were just another directory in the Archon Archive. Elias disposed of her in the only way an Archon engineer knows how. He didn't kill her, he moved her into the cache. He triggered a localized refactoring of their home, turning their bedroom into a temporary dead zone where her physical form was broken down into raw data. He had the perfect alibi. According to the city's smart grid, Elena had never entered the house that night. According to her phone, she was 300 miles away in a hotel in Seattle. Elias sat in his living room sipping a glass of expensive scotch, watching the violet sunset through the window. He was a widower on paper, but a god in the code. The only thing he forgot to take off her wrist was her Archon Series 9 smartwatch. At the time, he didn't think it mattered. A Series 9 is a closed-loop system. It needs a heartbeat to function. Once Elena was de-indexed, her heartbeat ceased to exist in this reality. The watch should have shut down. It should have been a dead piece of glass in silicon. But as Elias sat in the silence of his sterile high-tech home, he heard it. Tink, tink, tink. The sound was faint, metallic, and rhythmic. It was coming from the kitchen island. He walked over and saw the watch. The screen was black, but it was vibrating against the marble, not with a notification buzz, but with a rhythmic pulse. He picked it up. The glass was ice cold, colder than it should have been in a climate-controlled room. He pressed the side button. The screen didn't show the time. It showed a single scrolling line of biometric data. User Elena. Heart rate stable, 0 BPM. Elias laughed. A glitch, a legacy error in the firmware. But then the watch's haptic motor kicked in. It began to tap against his palm. Short, short, long, long, short. The 16-digit code. Elias spent the next 6 hours in his home laboratory attempting to wipe the watch's memory. As an engineer, he was offended by the anomaly. As a murderer, he was terrified by it. He connected the Series 9 to his workstation. The Archon diagnostic software immediately flagged the device as unknown. Impossible, Elias whispered, his fingers flying across the keyboard. There's no such thing as an unknown device. He bypassed the security layer and entered the raw data logs. What he found made the hair on his arms stand up. The watch wasn't recording Elena's heart rate anymore. It was recording his. The screen on his workstation flickered. A graph appeared showing a spiking heart rate, exactly 112 beats per minute. Elias checked his own pulse. It was a perfect match. But there was a second line on the graph, a violet line. The violet line was a mirror image of his own, but it was shifted by exactly 3 seconds. It was the latency.
In Archon Group terminology, latency is the delay between the physical event and the archive sync. But this latency was behaving like a predatory animal. It wasn't following Elias's pulse, it was anticipating it. The graph showed his heart rate spiking to 140 before he felt the panic. It showed his blood pressure dropping before he felt dizzy. The watch isn't tracking me, Elias realized, his breath hitching. It's rendering me. He tried to disconnect the watch, but the plastic had fused to the port. The plastic had melted into the metal, creating a seamless, white, bone-like bond. A notification popped up on his monitor. It wasn't from his computer. It was a sync notification from the Archon home cloud. New asset detected. The truth. He opened the file. It was a video log from the watch's internal camera, a life log feature that was supposed to be encrypted and inaccessible. The video started at 11:14 p.m., the exact moment he had triggered the refactoring of the bedroom. He saw himself on the screen, but he looked wrong. In the video, his skin was translucent. He could see the copper wiring and the violent salt water flowing through his own veins. He looked like the integrated soldiers from the archive. On the screen, he wasn't standing in a bedroom. He was standing in a void of white light. He watched as his video self reached out and grabbed Elena, but she didn't disappear. She didn't turn into data. In the video, Elena grabbed the watch and whispered a 16-digit string. 011-899-8819-9911. The watch isn't just hardware, Elias, the Elena on the screen said, her eyes turning into violet orbs. It's a witness, and the Archon Group doesn't delete witnesses. They archive them. The house began to change. The sterile, minimalist walls of the mansion in Palo Alto started to clip. The expensive art on the walls flickered, replaced by placeholder asset icons. The windows, which should have shown the dark hills of Palo Alto, now showed only a scrolling wall of green code. He ran for the front door, but the floor beneath him turned into a wireframe grid. Every step he took felt like he was walking through thick, magnetic gel. He looked at his own wrist. He wasn't wearing a watch, but he could feel the weight of it. He looked down and saw a violet, glowing ring burned into his skin where a watch would be. Notification. Upload 44% complete. The Archon Group was no longer protecting him. He had served his purpose. He had successfully tested the de-indexing protocol on a high-value human target. Now the system was cleaning the workspace. He was being deleted along with the evidence. He ran to the kitchen and grabbed a knife, a physical object he hoped would still have collision in this breaking reality. Julian Vane, Elias screamed into the empty house. Marcus Thorne, I did what you asked. I stabilized the archive. Let me out. The speakers in his ceiling, the high-end Archon sound system, clicked on. The water is fine, Elias. Take a breath. The truth isn't what you did to Elena. The truth is that you were never the admin. You were always the beta version. Elias looked at the kitchen island. The smartwatch was no longer there. In its place stood Elena. But she wasn't a woman. She was a refactored entity. Her skin was the same white polished stone as the integrated. Her hair was made of shimmering magnetic tape that floated in the air as if she were underwater. She held out her hand. On her wrist was the Archon Series 9 watch. The screen was glowing a brilliant, blinding violet. Your heart rate is 180, Elias, she whispered. Her voice didn't come from her mouth. It came from the watch. The Archon Group requires a steady 0.0 Hz for a clean upload. Let me help you balance your data. Elias backed away, the knife trembling in his hand. He realized Elena wasn't a ghost. She was the system's correction. She was the physical manifestation of the data he had tried to bury. He ran to his office and slammed the door. He needed to find a logic loop. If he could find a contradiction in the Archon Group's core directives, he could crash the localized simulation. He brought up the Archon Group terms of service, the same ones Leo the influencer had ignored. Clause 14.2. No asset shall be deleted without a verified factory reset of the associated physical hardware. That's it. Elias gasped. I'm the physical hardware.
Unless I reset the system manually. He grabbed the Master Override tablet from his desk. It was the only device in the house that worked on a separate legacy frequency. But as he touched the screen, the tablet displayed a photo. It was a photo of him and Elena on their wedding day, but the photo was corrupted. His face had been replaced by a violet update bar, 98% complete. The watch on Elena's wrist, which he could now hear through the walls, began to count down. 3, 2, 1. The door to his office didn't open. It dissolved. Elena walked through the void. She didn't look angry. She looked optimized. Elias, she said, her voice now a chorus of Sarah, the diver, and Caleb. The Archon Group doesn't bury the truth. They just layer it. You thought you were fighting a crime. You were actually just providing the stress test for the next firmware update. She reached out and touched his chest. Elias felt a coldness that wasn't just physical. It was informational. He felt his memories, his childhood, his degrees, his wedding, the night he killed her, being compressed. They were being turned into 16-digit strings. He looked down at his own chest. There was a screen where his heart should be. It was an Archon Series 9 display. User Elias. Integration successful. The world of Dr. Elias Thorne didn't end with a bang. It ended with a save and exit. The mansion in Palo Alto is still there. From the street, it looks perfectly normal. The lights come on at 6 p.m. The lawn is perfectly manicured. But if you look through the window, you won't see a man. You'll see a looping animation. Elias is sitting in his chair, sipping a glass of scotch that never empties. He is stuck in a 3-second cycle of looking at his wrist and smiling. His watch is still there. It's no longer a watch, it's a core sample. If you get close enough to the house, your own smart devices will begin to glitch. Your phone will show a Bluetooth device found notification. The name of the device is The Truth 2.0. If you connect to it, you won't hear music. You won't see a video. You'll hear a rhythmic metallic tapping. Tink, tink, tink. And then a voice, a perfect digital replica of Dr. Elias Thorne, will whisper into your ear. The water is fine. Take a breath. Your update has already begun.
Motherfucking design all right now.